Welcome, Kate. I'm very excited just from the tiny little bit that we've already talked about before pressing record, but like, welcome. I'm so excited to hear about the community that you're building and the ways you've done it. Please introduce yourself and tell me a little bit about the community that you have been building.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. I'm Katie. I'm the founder of Lime Social Club. We have been around for about 2.5 years now. We actually might be hitting our 2.5 year mark exactly in the next month.
Happy anniversary.
Oh, thank you. We do in real life events. We're based in New York, Denver, and Boston, and
Oh,
we
wow.
function digitally across America and hopefully outside of the United States very soon. But we host in real life events for people looking to do new things and find new people outside of the bar scene. Excuse me. Um, these events are everything from run clubs to comedy shows to dinner parties and art events. And the main point is that I am not a sober person, but I found it really frustrating how alcohol centric social culture is in cities. And so we offer spaces where alcohol might be at the event, but it is not the focal point. And you are kind of like a choose your player mode. You can come, you can go as you please, you can meet new people, you can test out new things, and you don't have to drink. If you don't want to drink, you don't have to identify with it. So that's what we do.
Amazing. I love that. Is it do you curate particular events calendar and then people just kind of pop in and out to different events that you've chosen?
Yes, so in New York specifically, New York is where we started. It is by far our largest chapter right now. We have four monthly partnerships. So we have a monthly run club with Hoka. It's the first Saturday of every month, a monthly Barry's boot camp class, a monthly other ship sauna and cold plunge experience, and then a monthly art class. And so those are pretty scheduled all the time. But then once a month, we also will pop in more of these fun, like shopping experiences or a mani-pedi night or a comedy show that people can also purchase into. All of our tickets are under $20 and most of our events are free. So it really is a player's choice. Like you can go on the website, pick what you want to go to, and then show up with a friend, but there's no gate. So anybody is welcome to come. They can self-select.
Amazing. And how did you choose Boston and Denver in addition to New York?
I have never really hired a team of people before, and I'm leading with this because the thing that I have realized about community specific, it is a very specific person that has to lead a community. I think a lot of people are very well intended with, oh, this sounds so fun, but it's very hard to follow up on it, especially when you don't get the amount of people showing up that you think. Oh. Um,
Yeah.
so we had two different people, one from Boston and one from Denver, come to me separately, just saying like, "Hey, I want to do this in my community. Can I kind of hop on in on the Lime train and do X, Y, and Z?" So we created a program where people can bring Lime Social Club to their own city. They are helped out by the headquarters, which would be New York. We have one other person that works in New York. So we give them our systems, we introduce them to sponsors, and then they are in charge of their own chapter, but both people had just come to me and it's on my radar to continue to open up cities, but I think at this point I have found it is beneficial when people come to me and offer, let's do this, because then they really want to do it, not just for money or for the name of it, but like they are looking for the community themselves.
So many questions about building chapters and building out teams. And I think that's something that a lot of community builders share is like how to delegate or how to assign like roles and responsibilities and and to be able to like hand over things to people who are really enthusiastic. So I'll hold out on those for the moment because I want to ask a couple more like opening questions, but already just flagging that as like that's incredible that you've built that out, and I know that I'm sure you've got lots of things you can share that other people will be like, oh yes, that. So cool. That sounds amazing.
Yeah, it
Is
definitely,
there? It definitely is amazing.
yeah. I mean, it's
Oh, I
cool to
love to hear
see,
that.
like other people build out what you also believe in. So I feel like that's the amazing part, right? Like you believe in something, but then watching other people also believe in it is cool.
Hmm. Hmm. All right, let's jump in because that's a really beautiful way of like phrasing that experience. What is it like to have built something from scratch? and like an idea and have an ethos and have values and intentions, and then it resonates so much with other people that they want to replicate it.
I mean, it's so cool. It's very surreal. I will say, I think when you're a community leader, I'm going to take this way and then back in. I think when you're a
Please.
community leader, at least for myself, I find it hard to call myself a founder because I don't actually, at the beginning, it was not necessarily meant to be a business, which is why I think it worked, right? Like the
Mm.
first year is like, oh my God, I can't believe 20 people showed up. And then I couldn't believe I had a dinner party with another group of people and like we had 80 people show up and they all paid $100. And like that was absolutely so surreal. And like it's heavy work. It's big lifting. You're working with multiple partners and you're trying to sell your ideas to many people. So I feel like the first year I was just filled with so much gratitude that like I was finally finding my community of people because it was a selfish thing. Like I wanted to make friends, and I wanted to do things outside of the bar scene. I think going into year two, the question all of a sudden became like, we can't scale without money, but I can't get money without charging people. And I didn't really believe in doing that. Like I didn't want to charge people $100 for everything. It was that the one time we charged people $100 was for a 5 course dinner meal with drinks and everything included. Um, yeah, but we never charged that much outside of that. Everything's usually under $20. Um, so I think going into year two, all of a sudden building something became more frustrating than anything else because you can see the vision, but you can't grasp it yet. And so for the last year or so, we have been building systems behind the scenes. It's me and I have a a specialist that works with us, building systems behind the scenes that create a scalable way of doing things that you can actually just rinse and repeat it over and over again. And that has been a very tumultuous process just because you can't rush it. And I have no idea what's going to work. So we test and we take all the analytics, we look at it, and then the next month we'll just see if it actually worked or if it was a fluke. So at this point, like it's really cool seeing what how far we have been able to come, and I think it's important for community builders like myself to actually go to the events in person because that's where you get to see people are leaving with a smile on their face or they're like, "Oh, I've been following your content for months and I love that you do X, Y, and Z." And these are touch points that you don't normally see online, but when you're in person, you get to actually feel how your community member is feeling and you get to see them make connections and be like, "Oh, I wanted to bring a friend because I've been talking about it for months." Um, so it has its surreal moments, which is why I make sure I go in person so I can feel the happy moments when I'm also feeling the frustrated moments.
Yeah, you're like, this is why.
Yes. I I tell I tell myself this is like how I gaslight myself into being a founder of sorts because when I'm feeling really bad and then we have a an event the next day, I'm like, I have to go because I'm going to leave that event so happy that I went and so happy that I'm seeing like the reverberation that's happening energy wise for everybody else.
Hmm. Hmm. I appreciate your honesty about like the tumultuousness of, event production on its own, let alone community building on top of that. And then like all of the logistics around it is a big lift. And it there's there's glory in it and there's also a huge amount of like pressure. So I appreciate your honesty of just being like, I don't want to go. And
Yeah.
then you go and you're like, this is the best thing ever.
Yeah. I
the,
have never left an event upset. Like I'm always on cloud nine. And that's why I'm like, this is why we do it. If I feel that way and I feel happy afterwards, I'm like, I bet there's other people here that also had a bad day or are frustrated and they're leaving very happy.
hmm, beautiful. That's like usually one of my last questions in a podcast interview is like, when things are hard, what is the thing that reminds you and like fuels you and keeps you going? And you just like throwing it up front of just being like this. So I
Well,
love
as you can
knowing your
tell,
why.
I'm in the midst of it being tumultuous and hard and like not in a bad way. It's just like growing pains, right? I think people, even in your day job, you'll get this. Um, But I'm also in a moment of breakthrough where I'm like, oh, this is exciting, and I bet I could do this, and I bet I could do that. And people are showing up and proving the concept correct. I'm like, oh, this is cool. This is fun.
Hmm.
This is why we're here.
Hmm. I'm intrigued. if you're open to sharing, if it's not sharing too many secrets, like what you want it to become, or like what you're on the precipice of, that you're like, oh, this could work, and we tested this in this way in this city. Um, yeah, you got any secrets to share of what's to come?
Yes. So Boston is Boston is our second largest city, also by far. So it's like New York started, and then 6 months later we launched Boston.
Wow.
And then only 5 months ago we launched Denver. So Boston is 2 years old now as well. And I think what was really cool about that was the New York structure that we had built actually did rinse and repeat very well in Boston, except for portions of it. And then when we started to make money, it was because I very quickly realized I have a lot of influencer friends that were making really cool sponsored content and product introductions and all this stuff, and they themselves were getting the product in their hand, but they were not able to actually give the product to their following. And I always thought it was funny. We started off as a run club, and very quickly pivoted. Like runners are super duper specific about what hydration packet they take. So I pretty much immediately was like, I bet if I brought hydration packets to my runners that they could taste it, and there's a higher chance that they will purchase these hydration packets if you do content plus in real life event marketing and then give it to them, and then you retarget them with like SMS and email and all this stuff. And like don't treat them like a customer, treat them like a community member, but like ultimately showcase this product off a little bit more than just a content influencer would. And so that's what we started to do. And the goal has always been to bring Lime Social Club into hundreds of cities. I think there's absolutely no reason why there can't be a Lime Social Club everywhere, and have community leaders alter it to be a little bit more like them so that they're enthusiastic about running it. But at the same time, these brand sponsors, if they're going to sit here and be like, "Oh, we want to partner with you for a run club in New York or a studio class in New York," they can start to handpick, we're going to do 12 cities and we want to do it in New York, Austin, LA, and Denver and Boston. And like they can pick and choose out of all of the Lime Social Club communities which ones they want to showcase in. Um, which I feel like it creates this really awesome structure of like people who identify as a Lime socialite, and then also this cool structure for brand marketers who are trying to get in front of people like, oh, we have this demographic, this is how they identify. We could just partner with Lime Social Club. They're basically a built-in market, and they produce content, and they would host the event for us. Um, so that's how we've been that's the secret sauce slash of what I'm excited about and the vision and how we're growing. I think there's a lot of people out there who don't identify as being sober, but don't identify as big drinkers. And then I also think like that same demographic, they're pretty picky about choosing things that might actually suit them very well. So if I can introduce them to a new product while entertaining them in a way that they are enjoying, seems like a win-win-win.
Amazing.
Yeah.
That sounds exciting. I'm
Yeah.
excited to see it scale and like move through the growing pains and be able to be like, haha.
Yes. We did it.
See, I told you.
Yes.
You mentioned about treating the difference between treating someone as a customer and treating them as community, and I'm curious what that differentiation is for you.
I think we're still learning it, first and foremost. I I think sometimes when there is a sponsor at email and they're like, "Oh, we're willing to pay X, Y, and Z for this," it's it's we've never said no. Actually, that's not true. We've said no twice. And both of them were products that like I super duper did not identify with, and I was like, "Heck no, I'm not even going to try and make this work." But then the ones that we do work with, I think that I want them to fit into the playbook we've already written versus rewriting it to fit that paycheck into my pocket.
Mm.
Um, so like our emails and stuff, like if they want to be a headline sponsor and get on our emails and then pop up at an event and be in content and make the content not super salesy, that's super cool for me. And like I hope that there's a mutual like you're getting the brand awareness that you are looking for, and if not, you're getting a ton of purchases if it's fitting well for our community. But on the flip side, I don't want people to be following us and then all of a sudden our Instagram is just ad after ad after ad. Like that's nobody wants that. I think most influencers have that problem, and we do put out so much content that that has been what I have been really trying to make sure that we protect. Um, but at events, like people love product. I actually don't think that you can overthrow, like you can't put too much product in at one place. Like if we have 100 runners coming through a run club and we have 10 different products, I bet you a lot of money that most people will pick up every single product there. So like that's where it's like you can be a community member and just get a free product at an event. And then in the follow-up email after the event, be like, hey, this is what you tried today. If you liked it, here's a link. I think that's a really organic way of doing things because I'm not putting it in your face. I'm offering it to you at the event. And if you want to ignore my email, that's fine. I don't want you to ignore my email, but like I'm not being overly invasive. So yeah, that's a little bit of how we function right now, but I don't I think community members themselves also probably feel a certain type of way about that stuff, and I won't be able to please everybody, but I offer really low cost events because sponsors subsidize it. And so like this is the happy medium I am good with, and I hope that they are too.
Amazing. You were saying like offering them something rather than like pitching them something, and I appreciate that differentiation where it's like people get to kind of opt in rather than feeling like it's coming at them. Um, you also mentioned about like with brands coming to you rather than trying to overlay their like brand on yours, that they like tie into your existing brand and culture. And I'm wondering if you have like a key values or ways that you describe the Lime Social like culture or ethos or however you phrase that and frame that for yourself.
Hmm. I feel like this is maybe one of the problems about being in like startup mind is like it's in my mind and I don't know that I can write it out for you.
I mean, this it can be like a draft. Like if you wanna try it out, I'm curious to see like how you describe that at this point in time.
Mm. I'll use our newsletter as an example. We have a newsletter. I used to be super consistent with like multiple sections of it, and we actually relaunched our newsletter today with those sections. And it's basically like an intro section, a food for thought section, and the food for thought section is usually things that like I am personally questioning. Like today we wrote about the avocado market because I don't think a lot of people know that fruits have marketing teams, and what country they're coming from usually has a marketing team that's like telling America, hey, we should come in. All of this to say, I get really pumped up about that stuff. And then we have like a spotlight section where we spotlight a brand or a person who is in the community and works with us. And then we have a perk section. Um, a brand who is asking us to like send out a fully like the food for thought section just be about their brand and how like innovative they're being and whatnot. Like that's I wouldn't talk about that at the dinner table. And so like you're not gonna get that section of my newsletter. But if you want to have a little header added, like right now we have a header with a partner we're working with, Warmer, and the header is just like Lime Social Club brought to you by Warmer. And then there's a 2 sentence blurb underneath. And then in the perk session, there's another moment where they get their chance to shine. And then they had multiple posts on content that felt really aligned with us because they were like running interviews and we got to ask like funny questions like, do you take your coffee before or after? And I felt like the whole team there at Warmer too, like we never, they also didn't want to make it salesy. They just were like, we're going to give out 2 free sessions a month to your community. We just want them to know. And I was like, great, I can at least inform them of this happening versus making this whole newsletter about them. Um, and so I feel like that's a really good way of letting the community still do its thing and like read all these like fun entrepreneurial thoughts or spotlight content without overloading them with product. Yeah.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
For being clear enough in your own sense of like self and community. Because I think I hear a lot from people where they're like, oh, I feel as though I need to just sort of default to what they're asking for to make it work, to like have the partnership. Um, so I love to hear that. I want to come back to another question that I had earlier about you were talking just people approaching you really with a lot of enthusiasm about being like, I want to have this in my city with Boston and Denver, and just the process of like scaling and chapters, and maybe three things that you wish that you had known first, like scaling and building those chapters out, because I know a lot of other community builders want to do that, but can feel overwhelming or intimidating, or just like finding the right team. So yeah, curious if you have any insights of like the challenges and also the things that just really flowed for you as well.
I mean, when we were building out New York, I think it first and foremost started off as a selfish hobby, right? Like I wanted friends, I wanted to be outside the bar scene. And so two people showing up to run club was fun for me because my whole intention was just to meet people. I think like when we were opening up Boston and Denver, Boston not so much because it was pretty much right after we opened in New York, but even Denver, we had a lot of conversations about like, don't expect 40 people to show up. Like we don't have the community built there. You can only run so many ads. People don't normally react well to ads when you're asking them to show up in person. Um, and for the first year of Lime Social Club in New York, like I think I had 10 or 12 run clubs where under five people showed up. But I didn't care because I just was happy to be building something and a relationship and a repertoire. Um, and so I think if we're like starting off in other cities and other people are just in their journey, starting off a community, uh, having 60 people at an event may not be your goal. And it may not, it shouldn't necessarily be your goal. Like having five people show up for a really well curated event where it's supposed to be intimate and nice and fun is way better than overextending yourself and then not being able to perform with a larger audience. Um, we recently had a run club, like our run clubs ebb and flow with the summer months, people just being in and out. Our August run club was huge, probably 70 people. And then our September run club, I think it was maybe 15. And it's so funny because I turned to one of my friends and I was like, I'm actually a little happy this happened. Love, love, love my big run clubs. They're so fun and they're so hype and there's so much energy. But the 15-person run clubs also bring so much in like intimate moments, and you can actually talk to everybody and you're having conversation in much smaller groups. I think that there's just benefits, and people see online like, oh, she had 100 people at this thing. That's not necessarily the norm. It's the thing that we're showcasing, but I don't think it has to be that way. Yeah, I think just like communities in general, me, I don't know that other people do this. I used to gauge success by how many people showed up, and then I started tailoring the attendance and RSVP rate to be smaller and or larger. And then I just started to gauge the success of the event by, did I sell at least 80% of tickets and or spots, because sometimes that's covering the cost of the event, or I just want that many people in the room. And then when I get there, did anybody else notice about the attendance? Because most of the time I'm the only person that is holding some sort of weird goal or grudge or estimate on who and how many people should be there, but nobody else cares because they just came to meet people. And so like meeting one person is better than none. Um,
Hmm.
that's a little bit tangent on like just attendance, but I think when you're working in real life, like that's a lot of it.
Very relatable, I imagine, for a lot of people where there can be such a focus on attendance and participation as the one measure.
Yeah, yeah. I do think a lot of people, myself included, when you leave an event and only five people show up, it's like such a bummer. But that's how it works. That it's a slow build and then all of a sudden it's not. And sooner or later you'll start realizing like, oh, I can definitely have a room of 20 people fill up quite quickly. Um,
Hmm.
but a room of five people is just as powerful, especially when you ask them to come and they don't know you. That's insane that you're asking strangers to show up and they do.
Yeah, I appreciate that because I feel as though digital has really warped our sense of like participation. Like, say, for example, someone liking a post is fractional effort compared to truly showing up and committing to an event and like being there in person. and that we can. I feel as though digital engagement has warped our sense of like how big a deal it is to have like 5 people engage, and for that to be such a often like richer experience that can create momentum and like relationship building over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So that's, I love to hear that. And I'm also curious if there's like things that the Boston leaders and the Denver leaders, like based on different cities and different needs and different culture for each place, like have they experienced different challenges to you or unexpected challenges, or like has navigating those chapters and building and scaling those chapters, have you experienced surprises in that process?
No, I don't think that they're not really surprises as much as the chapter leaders themselves. The way that it's structured in Lime Social Club is I am extremely hands off on the overall day to day. They are required to host once a month. I don't care what it is. It needs to fit within the health, wellness, and art parameters. Um, but
Mm.
then they really they run their own chapters fully. And then we funnel everything into one marketing, like we have one email, one Instagram, one Slack. Um, but for instance, like Taylor, she runs our Boston chapter and like she's super sporty. She played lacrosse in college. She is running all of the world majors. She ran like 3 marathons in the last year. So a lot of our Boston events are tailored to athletics, and I think the community that has built around her is very athletic. So we went to go do one like very hard art heavy event there, maybe in March, and it flopped. So for like a New York event, that would have been a flop. And I think it's just because we have structured the organization so much around each chapter leader's personality. And I think that's fine. I think it's totally, totally, totally fine because I want Taylor to be excited about going to her own events. And not to say that she wouldn't be excited about an art event, but I think like looking at New York, I can't turn around and go to my chapter leaders and be like, "Oh, we should do X, Y, and Z," because that might not work for the community that they themselves have built in their own city. Same thing with Denver. I feel like we saw they have a lot of outdoor space. People are big hikers over there. There's a lot of availability for NA beverages and hikes and all this other stuff. So we stopped doing studio classes as heavily and started doing walks every other week. And we have about 8 to 10 people show up every single walk. So it's twice a month with our chapter leader. And they go on like around Sloan's Lake. They do about 2, 3 miles, depending on who's there, how the chat's going. And that works really great. Um, was your question around struggles? Because now I'm thinking, I'm like, just like the city chapters and stuff, like it's not a copy paste, but I
Mm.
can give them structure and how it worked in New York. And for the most part, it's just like an overarching, like, do this, expect this. Um, and that's not surprising that, they built a mini version of them in a community.
Hmm. Yeah, I appreciate your combination of like structure and processes that you can lend the chapters while also like being flexible and open to making it appropriate to the leaders and the city and the place. And I'm so curious about how that works in terms of brand and structure and financially, like to have it all sit under one like newsletter and marketing team and it be centralized in New York. How does that work financially for you in terms of the chapters being a part of your brand?
Um, I don't know exactly how like franchises work, but I kind of say it's a franchise model, but it's not. Our chapter leaders, because they run their own events, they make what they earn, basically like a commission type situation. But if they have expenses, they also pay those expenses. So it's exactly how I started in New York, and I think it's a very easy way to like manage finances because building an event can be expensive, it does not have to be. And when you empower somebody to say, like, you can make every single dollar from this ticket, but you also have to pay anything that comes in front of you, um, I think it makes them realize like how much money we do or do not have at that moment. On the flip side, with sponsors and such, like most of the time, sponsors are looking to activate in New York right now. It's just our largest chapter. I feel like it's where things are happening. But down the line, there is an agreement in play where if I sell sponsorship, they get a kickback of a certain percentage for hosting the actual event and curating all of the community and such. And then if they sell sponsorship on their own events, Lime Social Club headquarters gets a kickback. So I really think like ultimately it's just I'm not here to take money from anybody that I am not deserving of that money. But I want to make sure that headquarters is always like first and foremost, we're the ones investing majority of the overseeing ads and community upkeep and tech stacks. But on the flip side, like running a community is hard, and I would like people to be compensated for the work that they're putting in.
Hmm. Amazing. Did you model your model on other people, or was it more just like a trial and error, see
Trial and
what
error.
works and relationship building?
Yeah. So Taylor at Boston, she was a friend of a friend from college. We didn't know each other all that well. But it was very easy to work with her from a very, very, very beginning. And because of that, I just was like, you can keep all the money. I don't care. I want this to grow and succeed. And then after a certain point, things started popping up where she would just be like, well, what do you think about this? And I was like, what about this? And like we could just talk about it. And like I don't think either of us were overly selfish because it's not like we're dealing about with millions of dollars here. Um, and that became the blueprint for how contracts with other community leaders or head of community and other chapters started to work.
Hmm. Amazing. So fun to hear about all the different community structures and styles, and just like the reminder that community is so much about relationship building and then responding to the moment together of like, okay, but what works for us now at this stage? And then how do we renegotiate it? And how do we like respond to the future moment and the future needs? So it's beautiful to hear that you'll have just been in dialogue, finding your way, and that it's working for you.
Yeah, it's definitely fun, but I will say I think two of them, at least for me, or two of the main characteristics that go into this is one, I'm a very blunt person, I've heard. I
Same.
yeah, I was on a call the other day and the woman was like, "Wow, I thought this would just be an intro call." And I was like, "Oh no, if I'm into it, I'm into it. If I'm not, I'm not." But I make decisions very fast and not in a rushed manner. I just think that when it's so small, you can like kind of grasp the idea of like how is this going to affect, our whole community because we're not overly large yet. Um, but I would come when Taylor would come to me with things or me to her, I would just say, "Hey, this is what's happening. This is what I think I can afford." And she was very forthcoming from her side as well. But then the other reality is like we don't have outside funding and we're only bootstrapped. So I can't offer her $10,000 to run an event anyways. So this is just the reality that we're living with is like, sure, I'm going to tell you the truth, but I also actually don't have money to give you. And so I think that was a really good way of like helping us create a structure that felt good for both of us.
Mm. Well, I hope that that is something that you do experience soon, and that we can help you like scale that so that you can have the $10,000 to run an event if you want to. Yeah, no expectation, but if that's something you want, let's try and make that happen.
Anybody can call me. My doors are open.
You're like, the line starts here.
Yeah. Yeah.
I I wonder if there's any particular things in Lime Social Club that you feel really excited or proud of that you want to talk about. And I want to keep that as an open-ended question because like sometimes there's just really specific things that people are like, yes, this. So is there anything that comes to mind?
I mean, I guess the whole thing, first of all, like I think it's so cool when people are like New York is a lonely place sometimes, and it's so funny because you're surrounded by so many people and everybody says it, but every once in a while you're on your couch and I was like, damn, I wish I had a friend. And you can't do anything outside of your apartment and a bar. And so it's just like creating these spaces and seeing them flourish. And we've we've hosted over like 3,000 people. It's been awesome. But I think the other thing is every December, so we've had two, yeah, because this will be our third one. We host a charity event every year, and we have raised over $4,000 for charities just in and around the city. I had cancer when I was little, and so the first year we were able to give back money to Maria Ferrari, which is where I was treated. And then last year we
Hmm.
helped,
That's such a nice full circle.
yeah, it was really fun. Um, but then last year we actually a Lime Social Club community member came to the table and they were raising money for water systems in Africa, and he was like super excited about it and getting this goal. So we partnered up with him and we had a full-blown disco party. 70 people showed up. We had a silent auction, and all of our partners came out and like gave free classes and movie theater tickets, just absolutely everything. And I think like those are moments when it's cool to see like there is so much good that comes out of community like this. And I think that relationship building, it's so hard to make good relationships with this many people at once. But at the same time, when you do, you're able to turn to them and say, like, hey, we're going to host a charity party. And people just show up and they donate and they have a great time and they're looking to make new friends. So that's been really awesome.
Hmm. So cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the social context of building a community nowadays and like the loneliness epidemic and being so digital nowadays, particularly after like lockdowns, and it's just must be so heartwarming to see the momentum that's created and like the investment that people have where
Yeah.
they just like show up.
Yes. Yeah. Plus, I think like even outside of Slime Social Club community, I think that people get excited when others are building things and they're happy to help and participate. And so, like, when you're building a community, the easiest thing to do is just show up to an event. And, like, that is so cool too. Like, just seeing who shows up for you or comes to events or comes to say hi. Like, I've been able to keep in touch with so many people from parts of my life that I never thought I would just because they were like, oh, well, we've been following you. We want to come. And I was like, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Hmm. It sounds like you create a really flexible model too around just like drop in. Is it like ticketed for each event, or is there a membership structure, or like how does that work?
Um, It is open to everybody. So we say join for free, but it's basically if you join our Slack now because we launched it today, or if you join our
Today.
today. Well, we launched it yesterday to a small group, but then today I was like, I'm just gonna pull the plug and do it. Um, but if you subscribe to our newsletter and or are in our Slack channel, we post off all of our events are one-offs. Or not one-offs, but they are like individually ticketed events. Sometimes they're free, sometimes they're $10. And so you can come and go as you please. I think being a Lime socialite and community member is really just showing up in real life, being a good person, hearing about the news from us, and like participate when you can and when you want to, and don't when you don't want to. And it's as easy as that. I don't want to have a membership, at least for the time being, because I feel like you either do or you don't identify as a Lime socialite, and I don't need you to pay me to tell me that.
Love that attitude.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know collectively businesses have just been really shifting more towards membership models because it feels more sustainable and like predictable, and that doing one-off events can be a big lift like every week or constantly, and so it's great to hear that it works for you. You found your momentum and pacing amongst it all
Yeah. I think, I mean, every community is structured very, very, very differently.
so differently. It's
Yeah,
kind of amazing.
I have two communities here in New York that are honestly pretty identical to Lime Social Club, except for the fact that they target two different demographics than I do. And they both have membership fees. And it's very
Mm.
interesting because I think there's many ways that you can make money. I just, when I started this, like, I wasn't willing to pay for a $25 comedy show. And I kind of think I'm the majority. Like, I don't think that there's many 22-year-olds out there who can just pay for whatever they want. And so creating a space that they feel welcomed, that they can go to is so important to me. And I think there's a lot of brands out there that like nowadays with Gen Z too, like they want brands who show up for them and then they show up for the brand. And so if we can create these subsidized events for these people, like that is what I want.
Cool. And most of your socialites, that's such a cute name. Are most of your socialites Gen Z? Like what is the demographic of your
I
socialites?
call them Zillennials because they are
Mm-hmm.
about 23 to 32. It's either the 23-year-olds are usually like, I'm out of college, I don't have friends in the city, I'm looking to make friends, or they work in, if it's a woman, they work in a very heavily male structured company and they're looking for girlfriends. And then on the 28 to 32-year-old side, you start getting the girls and the guys, we're primarily female, the girls where all of their friends are married and moving out of the city and they're losing their friends to basically marriage, which like we're so happy for everybody. But now they're starting to look for those single friends that they can go out with or run with on a Saturday morning. Um, and so that's where we meet somewhere in the middle. But for the majority, I like to say they're all type A players. They have their career down, they're looking for health and wellness, and nobody has it all figured out, but they're testing their boundaries every which way they can.
I love that. You were saying that about like being how you hadn't quite put into words your values, but hearing you speak in this conversation, I feel like there's been some really key values that have like come out along the way, and it's cool to hear.
Yeah. I mean, there's definitely values, but it is very funny when you work alone for so long. It's just in my head.
Yeah, I'm curious. Maybe we can have a future conversation. You'd be like, haha,
Yeah.
now here we go.
Yeah. I mean, I have a business plan, but that didn't come up. So
Well, I wonder if there's anything that you haven't said that would feel incomplete in this conversation without it.
not really about my community, but if you want to join, Slime Social Club underscore on Instagram. And all of our links are there. And if you want to bring it to your city, let me know. Just DM us and we'll reach out.
Incredible.
Yeah.
I love that you're like, apply within to
Yeah,
have
please.
yours in your
I'm
city.
manifesting this. More cities, more community members, more sponsorship.
Great.
Get
Any
line.
particular cities you really want people
I
if
no,
you
I
if you had a dream list, just so we can like get real clear
yeah,
on it?
I want LA, Austin. Give me some like Seattle.
Mm-hmm.
Just give me big cities. Big cities.
All
And give me
right.
small cities. We don't need to be big cities. Give me in the middle of nowhere. Like everybody needs community. So we're here for
Oh,
it.
love it.
Yeah.
You're building a whole network of socialites.
Yeah. Yeah. Some zesty besties.
Zesty besties. Amazing.
Yeah.
Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, like hearing all the ways that you created Lime Social Club, Katie. It's really cool to see that, you've got this dedication and also like openness to how it's gonna look, like focused but like open. And I'm excited to see Lime Social Club really thrive and
Thank
to
you.
support you all as well in the ways that we can.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. It's been fun.
Yeah, such a pleasure.
Awesome.